Beloved, hear this. September 1st, 2025 is not just another date on the calendar. It is a line in the sand. A moment in which heaven leans close to the earth, and the voice of the Almighty whispers into time. But here is the mystery. Only the chosen, only those who have ears to hear, will perceive it. From the beginning God has spoken. He spoke creation into being. He spoke to Abraham and called him out of Ur. He spoke to Moses from the fire of the bush. He spoke to Elijah not in the earthquake, not in the fire, not in the storm, but in a still small voice. And he speaks still. But in every age most do not hear. They pass by, deaf to eternity, distracted by the noise of the world. So it is now. September 1st is not about numbers on a page. It is a summons, a trumpet call, a dividing of hearts. For there are many who call on his name, but their ears are closed. They have grown accustomed to the clamor of men, the voices of culture, the cries of fear, and the chains of their own desires. Yet there are others, the remnant, who will not bow their knee to Baal, who will not silence the Spirit, who will hear. September 1st, 2025 is not simply a page turned in a calendar or another date slipping into history. It is a marker, a divine summons written into time itself. To the world, it may look like just another day, but in the unseen realm, it carries weight, meaning, and a voice. God is speaking, but not every ear will catch the sound. Not every heart will feel the stirring. There is a mystery woven through the ways of heaven, a mystery that separates those who glance at the surface from those who seek the depths. From the very beginning, the pattern has been the same. God speaks, but only the chosen hear. When creation came forth, it came not by accident, but by the word spoken from eternity. Yet how many of his creatures truly hear the voice that still sustains them? He spoke to Abraham, calling him out of the familiar into a land he did not know. And Abraham heard what countless others missed. He spoke to Moses from a flame in the desert, a bush burning and yet unconsumed, but only one shepherd stopped to turn aside and listen. He spoke to Elijah not in the roar of the storm or the fire from the sky, but in a still small voice, and only the prophet, in his humility and weakness, discerned it. September 1st is another echo of that same divine pattern. God is not silent. He is never silent. He is speaking into the winds of history, into the shaking of nations, into the hearts of men and women. But here lies the difference. The majority walk past his voice, deafened by the noise of their own desires, the chatter of society, the clamor of fear. The calendar turns and they remain unchanged. But the chosen, the ones who have been awakened, those with ears to hear and eyes to see, will recognize that a summons is being sounded. The date becomes more than numbers. It becomes a trumpet, a dividing line, a call to awaken. It has always been this way. The voice of God is not given to the proud, who think they already know, nor to the arrogant, who boast in their own wisdom. It bypasses the ears of kings and rulers who exalt themselves. It bypasses the masses who have dulled themselves with pleasures and distractions. Instead, it comes to the quiet, to the humble, to the ones who bow low, who recognize that without him they are nothing. His voice is not caught by those who demand proof, who scoff and mock, but by the ones who tremble at his word, who lean in when others walk away, who hunger and thirst for righteousness more than for the fleeting rewards of this world. This is why September 1st, 2025 becomes more than a point in time. It becomes a test, a moment of discernment. The question is not whether God is speaking, for he is. The question is who is listening. Only the chosen will perceive it, and that is not because God withholds himself from the rest, but because only those willing to hear, only those willing to strip away the noise, will recognize the whisper of eternity breaking into their reality. For many, the day will come and go unnoticed, unremarkable. They will scroll, they will buy and sell, they will eat and drink, and the divine message will pass them by. But for the remnant, for those who belong to him, It will be a reminder that time is short, that heaven is near, that the King is still calling his people to prepare. Think of it this way. When the voice of God enters time, it does not echo like the voices of men. It does not clamor for attention with the loudness of this world. Instead, it carries a weight, a gravity, a stillness that requires the soul to quiet itself to perceive it. That is why only the chosen can hear. Not because they are better, not because they are greater, but because they are the ones who stop, the ones who pause, the ones who incline their ear when all others rush past. It is the difference between those who walk in the light of revelation and those who stumble in the darkness of distraction. On September 1st, 2025, God is speaking, but His words will not be broadcast on every screen. They will not headline the news. They will not trend in the feeds. They will whisper in the stillness of the Spirit, and those who are tuned to heaven will know. It will be the line drawn between those who are of the world and those who are of the kingdom, those who are blind and those who see, those who are deaf and those who hear. For the chosen, the date becomes a doorway into a deeper awareness of His presence and His call, an invitation to draw nearer as the days grow shorter and the hour approaches. The message of God is never thrown carelessly before the eyes of the proud or the indifferent. It is hidden from those who do not want to see, veiled from those who choose to close their ears. Throughout history, this has always been the way of the Eternal. His word is not a spectacle for the arrogant. It is not a performance for the skeptic. It is not a treasure cast before those who trample it underfoot. Instead, it is preserved, guarded, and revealed only to those whose hearts are bent low, whose spirits are softened, whose eyes are lifted in reverence. The proud stand tall in their own wisdom, declaring that they need no guidance, that their strength is sufficient, that their minds are enough. But in their pride, they are deaf. In their arrogance, they are blind. They cannot hear what heaven is saying because their own voices drown it out. This is the mystery that unfolds again and again. Pharaoh, with all his might, could not discern the hand of God even as it shook his kingdom with plagues. Nebuchadnezzar, in his glory, had to be brought down to the grass of the field before he could recognize the sovereignty of the Most High. The religious leaders in the days of Messiah searched the scriptures, recited the prophecies, yet when the Word became flesh and stood before them, they did not recognize Him. They were blinded by their self-righteousness, deafened by their own traditions. The proud cannot receive revelation because their hearts are too hardened to bend before it. But to the humble, to the broken, to the ones who know their need, the voice of God comes as life and light. It comes like water to the thirsty, bread to the hungry, rest to the weary. To the shepherd boy in the fields, the heavens opened with angelic songs. To the fishermen by the sea, the call came to leave their nets and follow. To the widow who dropped her 2 coins, her act of faith became a testimony for generations. These were not the powerful of the earth, not the celebrated, not the ones men would have chosen, yet to them God revealed His secrets. It is written that the secret of the Lord is for those who fear Him. Fear here does not mean terror, but awe, reverence, a heart that bows low before the greatness of His majesty. Such a heart is like good soil, ready to receive the seed of His word, ready to let it take root and grow. When the world mocks and dismisses, the humble receive and are transformed. When the careless pass by, the broken linger and listen. The message of God is not for casual hearing. It is for those who treasure it, who guard it, who know it is worth more than silver or gold. This is why in every generation there is a remnant, a people within the people, chosen not because of their outward strength, but because of their inward posture. They are the ones who bend their knees when others strut proudly. They are the ones who cry out when others scoff. They are the ones who seek the still small voice while others chase after noise and spectacle. And to them, God reveals what he withholds from the rest. The prophets of old spoke of mysteries hidden from kings and princes, but revealed to shepherds and servants. Even the Messiah himself declared that the Father had hidden these things from the wise and understanding and revealed them to little children. The proud demand signs, they demand explanations, they demand proof on their terms, and in doing so, they miss the very proof before them. The humble need no spectacle, for they recognize his presence in the quiet, in the simple, in the places the world overlooks. They hear his call in the whisper, they see his hand in the ordinary, they know his leading even in silence. This is why the message of God is so easily overlooked by the multitude, but so deeply cherished by the few. When the world asks why some seem blind while others see, why some pass by while others tremble, the answer is here. The message of God is veiled from the proud and careless, but revealed to the humble and the broken. It is not because he does not desire all to hear, but because only those willing to bow will ever be able to perceive what the King is saying. The proud cover their ears with the clamor of their own voices, but the humble incline their ears and wait for his. The careless wander past, chasing distractions and shadows, but the broken stop, turn aside, and recognize the flame that burns yet is not consumed. This is a call to prepare, not in some distant future, not when it feels convenient, but now, while the door is still open, while the voice still beckons. The times are not casual, they are not ordinary, and the message is not given for curiosity's sake. It is a summons, a warning, and an invitation all at once. To prepare means to examine the heart, to remove what does not belong, to strip away the idols that creep in unnoticed, to cleanse what has been stained by compromise. Idols are not always carved of wood or stone. They are the subtle loyalties of the heart, the unseen chains of desire, the misplaced trust in things that cannot stand. The gods of money promise security, but their foundations crumble. The gods of power promise control, but their grip slips with time. The gods of pleasure promise escape, but they leave emptiness in their wake. None of them can save, none of them endure, none of them can shield you when the foundations of the world begin to shake. Preparation is not about fear. It is about alignment. It is the setting of one's life in accordance with the truth that cannot be shaken. It is the recognition that the kingdoms of men are not eternal, that nations rise and fall, that empires built on pride are toppled in an instant. History has borne witness to it again and again. Babylon fell, Rome crumbled, kingdoms that seemed unshakable vanished into dust. And so it will be again. The signs are all around: instability, unrest, storms, upheavals that remind us how fragile the works of man truly are. To ignore these signs is to walk blindfolded toward a cliff. To prepare is to open your eyes, to see with clarity, and to set your foundation on what cannot be moved. This preparation is both inward and outward. Inward, it is the cleansing of the heart, the renewing of the mind, the refusal to let compromise dull the spirit. Outward, it is the standing firm when all else trembles, the shining of light when darkness grows thicker, the bearing of witness when silence would be easier. It is not about hiding away, but about standing ready, clothed in strength not your own, anchored in a word that will outlast heaven and earth. Those who prepare will not be surprised when the storms come, for they will have already built their house upon the rock. Those who do not will find their foundations swept away, for sand cannot hold when the floods rise. The call to prepare is urgent because the time is not endless. The signs of the times increase like contractions before birth, closer and stronger, announcing that something is approaching. The nations groan, the earth itself shakes, and the events of history accelerate toward a climax. To pretend it is business as usual is to ignore the trumpet blast echoing in the spirit. The night is advancing, but the light is breaking forth, and those who are awake will see it. Those who slumber will miss it. Preparation requires watching, waiting, discerning. It requires a heart not lulled by the comforts of the age, not numbed by its distractions, but alive, alert, sensitive to the whisper of eternity. There is no middle ground in the call to prepare. To delay is to choose unpreparedness. To ignore is to declare indifference. The message is clear. Cleanse your heart. Remove the idols. Stand firm. The trembling of the kingdoms is not a matter of if but when. The question is not whether storms will come, but whether you will be ready when they do. To prepare is to choose the eternal over the temporary, the unshakable over the fragile, the kingdom of God over the kingdoms of men. It is the dividing line between those who will fall with the collapse of this age and those who will stand unmovable, because their hope is anchored beyond it. The chosen are not who the world expects them to be, for the world measures worth in strength, wealth, beauty, and recognition, but heaven does not. The chosen are not the ones with the greatest power or the largest following. They are not those who sit on thrones or command armies. They are not the ones who shine in the eyes of men. The chosen are those who bow before the King, who recognize His majesty and their own frailty, who lay down their crowns and their pride in exchange for His will. They are marked not by applause but by surrender, not by prestige but by obedience, not by comfort but by sacrifice. They are the ones who take up their cross when the world urges them to pursue ease. They are the ones who walk by faith when logic and reason demand evidence. They are the ones who choose unseen treasures over visible rewards, eternal crowns over temporary pleasures. They are the ones who love not their lives, even unto death, who would rather lose all than deny the one who called them. To the world, they appear weak, overlooked, forgotten, but in the courts of heaven, they are known by name. This is the paradox of the kingdom, that the last shall be first, and the least shall be greatest. The chosen are not the celebrated, they are often the hidden. They are the intercessors who cry out in the night, while no one sees. They are the mothers and fathers who plant seeds of faith in their children, though the world mocks them. They are the servants who give without expecting, the laborers who toil quietly while the spotlight shines elsewhere. Their names may never be etched in monuments, but they are written in the book of life. Their rewards are not found in this age, but in the age to come. What sets the chosen apart is not outward appearance, but inward posture. They bow when others stand tall in pride. They humble themselves when others demand recognition. They forgive when the world insists on vengeance. They extend mercy when society cries for punishment. They embody a different spirit, one not born of this world, but of the Spirit of God. They walk in a way that is foreign to the age, counter to the culture, and because of it, they are often rejected, misunderstood, even hated. Yet their endurance is proof of their calling. They hold fast to what is true, though all around them shakes. The chosen are also those who recognize the urgency of the hour. While others sleep, they keep watch. While others indulge in distractions, they discern the signs of the times. They know that the night is far spent and the day is at hand. They live not as though time is endless, but as though each moment matters. They speak truth when silence would cost less. They shine light when blending in would be safer. They are not driven by fear of man, but by reverence for God. It has never been about numbers or majority, for the chosen have often been the few, the remnant, the ones hidden within a larger crowd. Noah and his family among a world of scoffers, Elijah standing alone against hundreds of false prophets, Daniel and his friends refusing to bow in a foreign land, the disciples gathered in an upper room, while the city outside went about its business. The chosen have always been a minority in the eyes of men, but they carry within them the power and presence of the one who is greater than all. To be chosen is not to be elevated by human standards, it is to be set apart by divine purpose. It is to carry a calling that outweighs comfort, to walk a narrow path when the broad road beckons, to be faithful when faithlessness is easier. It is to endure hardship, misunderstanding, even persecution, and yet to stand unmoved, because the foundation beneath them is eternal. The chosen recognize that their lives are not their own, that they have been bought with a price, and that their task is not to seek their own glory, but to reflect the glory of the one who called them. They are chosen not for privilege, but for responsibility, not for ease, but for endurance, not for display, but for devotion.